And to try to prevent that civil disorder, British police have been unforgiving. I'm seeing more than 3,000 people were arrested, more than 1,000 charged. And to give you an idea of some of the other harsh sentences, another man, a 23-year-old, got 6 months for stealing a case of bottled water. Sentences like this being praised by Prime Minister David Cameron. Now, this is a developed country with an advanced legal system. Many critics saying this is severe overreaction on the part of the British government. And that, you know what, we should be worried about what comes next if this is happening today. Well, among those calling for a close examination of all this, radio host Alex Jones, he's in Austin, Texas right now, and I would imagine has a few things to say about this. Alex, I want to start off with this case of these two young men who started a Facebook page for a riot that never happened and who got 4 years behind bars. What do you make of this?
Well, we've got the intel for you here on exactly what happened in day one. When it started on that Sunday, we broke down what would happen. It's been confirmed that the police were ordered to stand down. The government admits that when the looting was localized and very light. Then word spread to basically the hooligan football types and other miscreants that it was time to have a party and that you could loot and steal. And then 4 days later, the parliament comes in and attacks the internet and says we need to start restricting the internet across the board. So yes, they're going after people that kind of got on the bandwagon instead of asking why did the police stand down at the very beginning. And that's being done so they can now come in and crack down on free speech across the board, because the British Ministry of Defense report in 2007 predicted that the oncoming austerity in the next 5 years, and now here we are 4 years later, would cause real political demonstrations and political rioting. So they allowed some hooligan type activity to now bring in draconian rules and label all political demonstrations and activity as violent. And so that's why these hooligans targeted people's stores, family homes, set fires. So they're going after people who stole ice cream or bottled water or who, joked around on Facebook, instead of having real police investigations and finding the real violent criminals that set the fires and attacked the firefighters. So this is a type of false flag event that we're seeing, and we've caught the police here in the U.S. in Seattle 12 years ago in '99. Actually hiring thugs to attack, not prosecuting them, and then pulling back, and then the public saying do something. Then the police attack the peaceful protesters at the WTO. So this is a elaborate psychological warfare operation. I'm not just saying this after the fact. At prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com with our reporters in London, we predicted everything that unfolded. This is a standard operating system.
It's so interesting, Alex, whenever I hear about things like this happening, especially crackdown on social media. I mean, it was not very long ago that our government, the U.S. government, was criticizing Egypt for shutting down their internet service, which is, a lot of these social media sites, Facebook and Twitter, is where their kind of protests were being organized. I know, too, that this is not just overseas. In this country, a lot of police departments have been reacting to what they're seeing by bringing in, I know NYPD is one. They're bringing in an entire social media unit. These officers will spend their days sort of scouting what's going on and looking for things like this to be happening.
Exactly. One of my listeners actually broke that story because it happened to him a few months ago. He said, let's go protest the Federal Reserve, the real power structure that Ron Paul and others talk about. And when he got there were over 50 cops waiting because he called for a peaceful demonstration. Look at last week in San Francisco. They were going to have a peaceful demonstration. So in a third of the city, they just shut off all the cell phones because a peaceful demonstration was happening. The U.S. government, the British government, and others, and NATO criticized Hosni Mubarak for, after weeks of rioting and protest and burning and looting, they shut off the internet. And boy, that was the worst thing in the world. But now you even talk about a peaceful demonstration in the U.S., the cell phones are cut off for everybody.
It's really, really interesting to see. I mean, to what extent can this argument by the British government just trying to watch out and maintain safety in the area, to what extent does that argument hold any water at all in terms of these really harsh crackdowns?
It holds no water because the British government pressured Amazon 3 days into it to not sell people baseball bats and other things to defend themselves. So the Brits have been disarmed, and then the government stands down in southern London with some very small riots going on over a youth who was shot. And I mean, it is insane to watch this happening. I mean, we saw it when we saw the police stand down. We said a stand down was ordered. Then it came out that there was a stand down. So it holds no water. The West is getting the public ready to demonize real political demonstrations against austerity that we've seen in Greece, Ireland, and many other areas. They're getting us ready for the economic collapse to basically brand all protest or even violent demonstrations in response to violent police actions as hooliganism or some type of crime. And so when people target the general public with riots, the police stand down. If those demonstrators would have gone and tried to burn 10 Downing Street or the Parliament, they would have been shot, not with rubber bullets, but with live ammo. So this whole thing is very serious, and we see the internet kill switch more and more being rolled out. We see the Pentagon in control of it, and DARPA here in the United States, and they admit it's to track and trace and shut down political speech.
If you could just give me one or two sentences, Alex, of your prediction for sort of the implications of this, especially in regards to social media and the internet.
It's going to be used all over the Western world as a pretext to even shut down mild political speech. And it's all being done because the police stood down and didn't nip these riots in the bud from the very beginning. This is the beginning of the end of the internet and freedom of speech if we don't stand up and speak out against this.
All right, radio host Alex Jones joining us from Austin, Texas.